Welcome to the Combot Collective.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Combot Collective, bringing you everything you want to know about robot combat, from the heavyweight class to the fleetweight class, from Battlebots to the live circuit. This is an application rundown video, something we've been doing quite a while in our news videos, but we're now making its own series. Now that a lot of these bigger news topics are going to be covered in their own videos throughout the off season here. We got quite a bit to talk about. We got 3 robots to run down here. Starting off with Swamp Thing, we got an update on Swamp Thing. We have an update, not really update, but an updated Jackpot showing up the version that Team Las Vegas Combat Robotics will be applying with for the 2022 Battlebots season. Some very fascinating changes there you're going to want to see. And at the end, we're talking about the very, very interesting case of Globetrotter. You saw this robot in the thumbnail. It's just about as bizarre as the team wants it to be. This thing is a ball. It's got a ring. It might walk. It might have a vertical spinner. We don't know, but we're going to try talking about it here in this application rundown. So let's waste too much time. If you like what you're seeing in this video, please give us a like. Please subscribe. And in the meantime, let's talk about some robot applicants here. Starting it off here, not too many applicants this week, but we're talking about a little bit of an update here. It's a robot that we've brought up a couple times now. Talking, of course, about Rick Russ and his brand new to him, a robot that we've seen plenty before, potentially brand new to the main Battlebots season, Swamp Thing here. Of course, like we've talked about plenty in the past, Swamp Thing / the Great Pumpkin is a robot that we've seen a lot in RoboGames past to minimal success. Just your classic wedge bot, and then it has also appeared in Battlebots a few times as a backup. It had the long tail and a small axe and a flamethrower. And those appearances, I believe it appeared at the 2015, 2016, and 2018 Battlebots. Like I said, as a backup. Only one fight in its career inside the battle box, fighting Chronic, which it won. Now we are seeing it potentially coming back, as we've talked about in a past news video quite a while ago now. Rick Russ had a bit of a dispute. He disagreed with the comments of some fans and had some drama with the Tombstone team. Both those groups have gone their separate ways. Hardcore Robotics, of course, still working on Tombstone. But now Team Swamp Thing has opened up, and now they're their own standalone thing. And we have some updates on this robot, which is coming along very nicely. Starting off here with a big update posted on March 25th of the Swamp Thing team and the Scorpius team together, with Zach Lytle recording Rick Russ doing the very first weapon test of the Gut Ripper style weapon on Swamp Thing here. We do get some more updates about the weapon itself. The weapon is now no longer 20 to 25 pounds. It is now, in fact, 30 pounds, so it does have a bit more beef on it. The weapon powering Swamp Thing, its weapon is the same weapon that is powered by Tombstone, so that's a bit of a plus there. It's going to be a very powerful weapon motor on a less heavy weapon, so there's going to be less kickback. Maybe we can see the reliability of this brand new Tombstone motor in action that we didn't get to see this year. But we're just going to have to wait and see. There were some other upgrades, some other updates posted, I should say, like the first frame getting its base coat, them working on multiple frames, and them also installing the plow on the robot. That happened very recently, going back to April 10th, doing the finishing touches. The brand new plow looks absolutely fantastic. It's cool to see Swamp Thing getting a new face after all these years, but of course, the big issue looking at this picture, which we got right here, is that Swamp Thing is not featuring wedgelets. We know it's not the most necessary thing. We just saw Witch Doctor go all the way to the finals, but here we got a bit of it's just sort of a flat, kind of a steep front, something very similar to the issue that 2019 Cobalt had here. I'm not very confident in this setup here. Hopefully this isn't the fully final setup thing, but I guess time is going to have to tell, though. I'm a little bit more optimistic for Swamp Thing now, seeing these changes, but like I said, we're just going to have to see. What are yours guys' thoughts, though, now on these updates for Rick Russ's Swamp Thing?
I think that seeing it all coming together, it reminds me almost of a heavyweight ankle biter in a way, in kind of its design. Right. Especially with the spinner. It's not got a saw blade now, but it's got like a little vert. And I think it's sticking with its signature like Swamp Thing kind of fighting style, where we've seen Swamp Thing just stick to the wedge game, pushing robots around, that kind of thing. I think it will still stick to that, but it'll have that vert come along and shred and deal damage while pushing its robots along, almost like gut ripping, almost, with its weapon rear.
Yeah,
like,
they got the weapon names, yeah.
We're not really going to. I don't think we're going to expect it much to do any kind of kicking up. It may not he's not going to send robots flying, but I think he's going to send sort of put robots off balance and definitely rip into things that
more of a Black Dragon's kind of style, yeah.
Yeah, I'd say it's more precise than it is massive in terms of its damage capability. It's much more of a precise spin that's going to do focused blows and specific points. And I'm hoping it still keeps the tail, since I did like that Sawbase design. But I do like the paint job. It is looking pretty neat. And despite the controversy, I'm intrigued to see where it goes. I think that hopefully with these two teams separate, maybe they can do their own things and eventually come back and shake on it later on. But it'd be interesting to see where Tombstone really goes from here, since the lead builder has kind of gone. Well, I think it was the lead builder, wasn't he? Yeah.
Yeah, the crew chief for Hardcore Robotics, Rick Russ.
Yeah, that's what
Which is weird. I wonder how many teams have a specific crew chief like that. I wonder if that's more of a commonplace thing than we realize.
I mean, something if it gets in, I'll like it. I'll enjoy it. I think that we'll have some good moments with it. I don't know about it doing a deep run. It also depends. I mean, just because we don't see wedgelets in that picture doesn't mean that wedgelets don't exist for it. He might have plans for that we just don't know about. But that said, I hope we see the tail. I mean, I'm sure it'll get a win or two. I don't want to be gloom and doom, but I don't think it's gonna get in. The only reason I could see it getting in is to play up the rivalry between Ray and Rick.
I think that's exactly why they'll sneak it in.
Yeah. Aside from that, there's nothing really that this robot has that sets it apart. That makes me think BattleBots needs this machine.
Yeah.
That said, I'm sure it'll be fine. It might be I feel like if it gets in, it'll be low top 32 bot maybe, or just scraping by to miss the bracket. I'm not sure.
Oh yeah, I absolutely don't see this robot doing too much, but we do have a lot of vertical spinners this year. I think this next class of rookies that we're going to see for 2022 is going to not feature mini verts at all. But I do think that we're going to see at least one, and I think Swamp Thing might be the one to break through, just because of that reason. Like we've talked about a little bit before, all the Tombstone, Hardcore Robotic teams, Swamp Thing, Rick Russ, Ray Billings drama that we got going on. Probably not even drama. I'm sure they were perfectly cool with each other and just wanted to do their own thing. But, it's sort of the same situation. I don't think Ragnarok would have got in if it didn't have the Monsoon Ragnarok beef to work with, because it ended up just sort of being a C-tier level axe bot. This looks like a C-tier level vert, but there is some history behind it, of course, with Robo Games, with BattleBots. It has had some history in the battle box itself. I'm also a little skeptic of those wheels. Looking at this picture I'm looking at right now, I feel like those wheels could be a little bit bigger, but those also could be the wheels that they've always ran. So I'm not sure, but yeah, I think this is going to be a 1 and 2 level robot. We'll probably see it face Tombstone in an episode 2 main event or one of the first midway majors, and they build up the drama a little bit, and Tombstone gets its one win and needs to get into the playoffs, and everyone's happy. So that's what I think is going to end up happening with it. I am a little bit more hopeful now that we do know it is a 30-pound weapon, and we have some idea that maybe this thing can do that gut-ripping thing that the Rick Russ wants it to do. They also, like I said, they revealed the info about them running the same motor as Tombstone, and their philosophy, Rick Russ said in that one video, is that we have the power of Tombstone's motor and we have the reliability that comes with a 30-pound weapon. It's not going to stop, and it's going to do a lot of damage. So Rick Russ probably knows better than I do, but I guess time is going to have to tell for Swamp Thing. Maybe we'll have more updates on this robot before the 2022 season comes along. I would have to imagine these guys have been pretty active on social media. Let's just pray for the tail to come along as we now move on to our next robot here. And now we go from one team somewhat known on BattleBots to a team very well known on BattleBots, especially over the last 2 seasons. We are, of course, talking about Jackpot, a robot who has still yet to lose a regular season fight, 5-0 career in the regular season. but does have yet to make it out of the top 16. We saw them go out in the top 32 in 2020 against the very game Rotator. This year they got the huge upset, not even really an upset now, against Tombstone. Got a huge win there to get into the top 16, where they put up a heck of a fight against Blip, but ended up not being a match against the brand new Flipper Robot. Now we do know out of all places, the RR2 Discord server, that Jackpot has a brand new setup that they are bringing for the 2022 Battlebots season. They've been doing some testing, and once again they have overhauled this robot's design while keeping to the roots of it. It's still a bricky four-wheel drive vertical spinner, but as you see in these pictures that we have now up here, a lot of changes. We now have a full-on lifter system that acts as a stream mech. Looks like they're trying to bring in a very 259-esque roulette wheel vertical spinner. I believe that's brand new for the robot. They do also have some various armor configurations, wedgelet setups here, and there's one picture here. They have multiple setups for stream mechs, one being like wide arms that stick out, one just being your usual Jackpot lever thingy that we saw in seasons prior. We also have some other small details, like the fact they are going to keep the Heartbreaker weapon. Looks like they have like a little casino slot thing on the back of Jackpot. Who knows if that's going to act like anything or not, if that's going to have any effective use, like maybe a drum kind of thing or whatever, or if it's just aesthetic. Time will tell. And the team most notably has an anti-mammoth and anti-huge setup that involves essentially turning those Shremek arms, those lifter arms on Jackpot, once again we have the picture here, into kind of like a tricycle thing. If you think of a robot like Heavy Metal Noise or Sunshine Lollybot from the Comedy Central era of BattleBots, kind of that same energy. They're bringing Jackpot upwards and they're sticking that blade out. It just looks like more of an overall more versatile robot. There's a lot of ambitious changes, a lot more changes than we saw from 2020 to 2021 with Jackpot. But the team seems very game, and for all we know, this could be well under production, what we're looking at right here. But yeah, looks like Jackpot's going to be going through a lot of crazy changes, trying to make themselves an even better robot, potentially making the top 8 or even beyond next year. What are your guys' thoughts on this new Jackpot here?
Love it. I was critical of the design last season. You know, I didn't feel like they were roulette wheel enough with their design. And here they come, pulling out like the Sunshine Lollybot, like vertical spinner design over here. This is some fantastic stuff from Jackpot.
They just get better and better with the theming, yeah.
Yeah, like, you know, last time it just seemed a bit meh. This time it was like, yeah, they were getting there, but they weren't quite there yet. This one straight up embraced the gimmick, and you might as well really. I feel like when it comes down to it, in this growing kind of meta, or in this kind of way, where verts are inevitably going to be like, you know, the top dog, the top things that you're going to be seeing here and there. You got to make your vert look more interesting, and they definitely, while they have still got that square design, the vert design just pulls it all together. And I think what really brings it out is that they seem to have like this additional potential 2-wheel setup from what I'm seeing from the image. Like they can use like their Shremek to lift their robot up and down. That might open up some
Lollybot setup right there. It's it's very fascinating because they still have the middle wheels. Well, now the formerly front wheels, middle wheels.
I'm thinking it's probably going to be like a suspension kind of thing, maybe, where it's like, you know, they can swap from like a 2-wheel drive, like a pseudo 2-wheel drive to like a 4-wheel drive setup.
That could be really cool. This is the one picture that makes me a little suspect of this being an April Fool's joke. I mean, they posted this further on the 6th. That's when this was posted here on April 6th, if anyone was wondering. But they did post some of this on April 1st. This picture right here, the Sunshine Lollybot one specifically, which has me a little skeptic. I'm sure that was by design because they knew it looks a little ridiculous. But I hope it's real. I hope it's legit because this thing looks absolutely fantastic.
I think we're all kind of hoping.
I mean, yeah, not that anyone would ever give us an April Fool's joke and try to fool us here or anything like that, huh, Pory?
Yeah, who would do that? I don't know. I don't think anyone would do that.
Yeah, I wonder. What are your thoughts on it, Pory, on this new Jackpot potentially?
So I think that they're very cool. I like all the versions. There's a lot of very cool ideas. The blade is like trying to take a note. The one blade is trying to take a note from Cobalt, I think, where it's like a few little teeth on the one side and one big tooth on the other side, which think it's pretty cool. Like people are starting to adapt with new kinds of spinning weapons. That's it. I'm not 100% convinced that it's legit mostly because of the huge config.
Yeah,
which is probably what has you skeptical
bold.
too.
Yeah,
It's a very weird thing. It's like Comedy Central era style stuff.
very much so.
I hope it's real. We'll see. And I'm looking forward to it.
And now as we wrap up this application rundown here, it's a very skeptical application rundown as we talk about these robots, especially with Jackpot and this robot. Everything's so close to April 1st, so you don't know what's true and what's not. But speaking of what might not be true, we're talking about Globetrotter here, who has been just a very interesting story. It's been a story of up and down for the robot combat community, especially in Discord servers like RR2, like King of Draft, like Uda. The team has gone on posting about this robot on various social media pages. They even made an application video, which we'll have up here. And they're trying to show off this robot that's just so ambitious, so unique. This is another team that followed me on Instagram first that kind of came to us, which makes me a little bit skeptical of it. But we're talking about Globetrotter here and 3 Point Robotics, the group of guys that seem to really love basketball, even though I don't think they nailed one basket in their entire application video. But I digress. The robot itself is very ambitious from what we have seen. The general vibe is that this seems to be a walker robot, judging from all the foot-related imagery in their logos. I hope it's because it's a walker robot, not because they like feet. Otherwise, ugh. But I digress. The robot, they have showed off two kind of concepts of what Globetrotter might be. The one less talked about, which we'll have up right here, is a it looks like your classic vertical spinner. Has two front wedges and two kind of thinner, smaller wedges, and a vertical spinner right in the middle. And then on the back end, it looks like a whole ass basketball hoop setup with a backboard and everything. Hopefully it's a regulation hoop. That would be pretty cool. But that one is just a silhouette. As you can see, we don't know if that's a walker or not, or what at all is going on with that version of Globetrotter. The Globetrotter that we've seen the most of, and the Globetrotter that has a lot of people thinking that this is a April Fool's joke, is the one that we'll now have up here. This is a 250 to 500 pound ball. At least that's what they're saying. They're trying to get the weight bonus here. We don't know if or how much they would get. But yes, this is a 250 to 500 pound ball, similar to Psycho Strout, similar to Tuzi, except even heavier. And that is a ring, a giant ring surrounding it that is supposed to be a giant beater bar. I don't know how this works. I don't know how it says, okay, so let's get some background here. The robot itself is based off a 1 pound robot called Orb, which is pretty much a 1 pound version of this 250 to 500 pound Globetrotter bot here, and that one works fine. In fact, I'm surprised I haven't heard of it before, because it's awesome to watch in action. It's a ball that just bounces around the arena, hitting its opponents, dies spectacularly, or kills its opponent spectacularly, one way or the other, and it's amazing. But I don't think this is going to translate to 500 pounds. That's just not how physics work. We've seen in the past these amazing small bot designs not translating to the bigger bot class. Just look at Rex, you know? That's a big example right there of a robot that just doesn't work in that heavy of a class due to how gyro is. But what are y'all's thoughts on this? Because there's a lot to unpack here. I saved this to the end for a reason. Globetrotter's been a lot of talk, but it's been a big hot topic this week, and it's just a very strange thing, this whole debacle we got here.
Yeah. Okay, so first off, come on, man. Rex works. They Uda 2-time finalist.
It didn't work as well as like Pissed Off Unicorn and all those prior versions.
The first iteration, I think the first iteration worked, but the second iteration, I think, just didn't have enough weight on its front. It didn't have enough power on its front because you can see when they're trying to tilt themselves over, they fall backwards. And like, you know, ideally, well, I think with a gyrobot, you got to have a kind of balance between the weight of the back and like the gyroscopic power of the front. Otherwise, if it's too heavy in the back, you're going to fall backwards and hit the floor and not really go anywhere. If you got too much weight, then the gyro will end up flinging you about and you'll fall forwards, that kind of thing. You know, it's like there's definitely got to be a perfect balance, and I think it definitely can translate to a larger limit. It just requires a lot of testing and I think trial and error here and there, just trying to get it work. But Globetrotter, I can understand the skepticism. From a technical standpoint, I think it's a machine that will be very expensive to not only maintain, but also potentially maintain for the battle box. Really, I'm kind of concerned considering that's going to be a really heavy weapon that's going to go into the battle box, and I wouldn't. In a way, it's not really a walker, but in the same vein, it's not really a roller either. It's
supposed
unique.
to be a bouncer, but how does that work?
Yeah.
It's heavy. It doesn't matter. You can have the most elastic rubber as this robot's armor, and I just don't see it being feasible. Another thing I want to bring up that makes me really skeptical about it is the team members. You go on the Battlebots Wikipedia page for this robot. So they personally cited, so they're not saying it's no bullshit. They're saying that, hey, this is an official page for our bot that they have posted things on. It says the team members for this robot are Dylan McKenzie, Joshua Kong, Coleman Christie, and Alex Price, which is cool and all. And then you look at the associated robots where we have 2022 applicant, fellow 2022 applicant, I should say, Horizon, a robot that a lot of people are expecting to make it into Battlebots next year. Affiliated team members, Dylan McKenzie, Joshua Kong, Coleman Christie, Alex Price. Literally the same 4 people, and it's just like, now wait a minute, what's going on here? It's
yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Like, these aren't like established builders. I mean, I'm sure they're very talented and are good, but like, BattleBots isn't gonna accept 2 really ambitious robots from an unestablished team, and just. The fact that there's a few red flags right from the get-go. The fact that we have 2 totally different designs for the robot. We have like the silhouette, and then we have the big ball. The fact that the video showcasing the big ball happened to be posted on April 1st. And the fact that the big ball, I don't see how that tangibly can work, especially if they get the 500-pound weight bonus, which, I mean, if they got a weight bonus, it probably would be like 50 pounds or something if it was a viable thing.
Yeah,
but like, it's not gonna be like a 300-pound robot bouncing around the arena. Like, I don't think that's physically possible
shit.
Unless you're like an aerospace like scientist or something, like. Plus the bar, like, how heavy is that bar gonna be? Because keep in mind, there's
solid
the
metal,
80-pound rule. There's the 80-pound rule unless you're a full body spinner, and
I can see them maybe convincing it as a full body spinner.
But even then, I don't see that thing being 120 even, and 120 is the cap, I believe, for
I don't see that
full
thing
body
launching
spinner.
a robot off the ground. That motor would have to take up most of the weight. I don't think motors like that exist.
That. I feel like to actually build this robot, it's gonna be like. Maybe I'm exaggerating here, but that sounds like it's gonna be close to 6 figures, if not 6 figures, to build this thing if it works. And then apparently,
and then apparently it explodes during its antweight matches. So what's it going to do inside of this match?
Yeah, like that's and plus that's another thing. If it does work, like, is BattleBots going to be willing to deal with that? Because like that's gonna fuck their floor up real bad.
Oh,
like, that's
absolutely.
Gonna damage the arena horribly, and I don't know if they're willing to do that.
Yeah, I mean, and we've seen that floor finally start taking some proper beatings, especially in that last finale episode that we just had. There's just no way. I don't know how this thing to take, bouncing off the leg stand walls and things like that. And just for me, the big red flag here is the fact that it's literally the same team as Horizon. Horizon is ambitious, but not that ambitious. It's a robot that we've seen have success in a 12-pound class before, so we know it's, you can put some weight on this design and have it be feasible. Like I said, I think Horizon's going to be a robot that we see, and we're talking about plenty later this year, because I bet it will make BattleBots. But for me, I just think this is a bit of a red herring. I don't think a lot of people have picked up on the fact that this is pretty much the same team as Horizon. In fact, I didn't pick up on it until we were kind of preparing the notes to talk about this. So
yeah, it kind of went under the radar. And the biggest thing, the logo is a foot. Reject them on that merit alone.
Yeah, what's with all the feet
Come
shit,
on,
guys?
man.
Come on.
What's up with the feet? Y'all trying to tell us something?
Yeah, I don't know about all this feet business, guys.
We don't stand
There's
for
a reason
feet
why
in
you
this
only see my
house.
top half on this show. Come on
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, you just do the Combot Collective, and it's like a close-up of your feet instead.
Oh God,
Oh
no.
no.
I'm good. You don't know. I might have pants on down here. You don't know
The
that.
Foot Collective.
I mean, I have gym shorts, but I digress. Yeah. So, I don't know. Globetrotter is an amazing design, and I love my spherical robots. Like I said, I'm a sucker for Psycho Sprout. I'm a sucker for Tuesday. But that's another thing, you know, high maintenance. Y'all were talking about how high maintenance this robot would be. Everyone was reporting that Tuesday was like literally coming into the pits on fire after all of its fights. And that thing just rolled around, you know? So, who knows? We're going to have to see. I wouldn't mind seeing a 30-pound or 12-pound version of Globetrotter competing at Norwalk. That would be snazzy. Maybe that's what they're really building up here. Maybe this is all just a giant red herring. But regardless, that's going to wrap it up here talking about this week's applicants. And let's start getting out of here. And that's going to wrap it up here at the Combot Collective. One new applicant, one returning applicant, and one update on a somewhat new, somewhat returning applicant. A lot that we talked about here. Shout outs, of course, to Mr. Redman and PoryNog for coming in for this video, talking about some of these robots here. You can find Mr. Redman at his website, www.joshuagunnett.com. You can find PoryNog on his Instagram at PoryNog or on his YouTube page, www.zippyegg.xyz. These applicants are quite interesting. I'm still holding out hope that Swamp Thing is going to get in. I have heard some things from some other fans fairly recently that Battlebots doesn't want to partake in the whole Swamp Thing, Ray Billings, Tombstone drama. Wouldn't surprise me given how shaky this season went, but I think that's something they should dabble on, especially if they want to get something going on for Tombstone for this upcoming season that's kind of spicy, I guess, for a lack of a better word. And in the case of Globetrotter, that's just a very interesting situation. Hopefully we can find out more about this team, but the fact that Team Horizon is so tightly affiliated with all these members does make me think this might be an elaborate April Fool's joke. I got the same little bit of skepticism with Jackpot. It's just that time of year. News stresses you out. You can't help it, but we still try to sift through it here at the Combot Collective. As we start wrapping it up, I am Sterling Brown. You can find me on Instagram at SterlingTXTG, and you can find me in future projects throughout the year. If you like what you're seeing here at the Combot Collective, please give us a like, please give us a subscribe, follow us on Instagram, follow us on Facebook, and join our Discord community. You can find all that in the description below, along with all 3 of these pages for these Battlebots teams preparing their applications for the 2022 season. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you next time here at the Combot Collective.
This was the Combot Collective. Find us on Instagram and Discord.
Slam Job is probably one of the more notable axes of the Comedy Central era, I would say, outside of a small handful of robots, of course, like Frenzy and Judge.
Yeah, I definitely agree. You know, I'm looking forward to it because April Fools, I made this profile up.
Wait, what? You did?
Uh-huh.
I'll kick your
Wait,
ass.
no.
No.
No way. No way.
No way.
Did you actually?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god, what?
We're recording a whole fucking segment here. I pulled up fucking info.
Yep. Bro, I was gonna do it last week, but then you postponed the thing.